Hello, I'm Andy and welcome to Vectra News, your fill of gaming news for the week of the 8th of February 2014. Coming up in this week's episode, Watch Dogs trademark is abandoned, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero's campaign is only 2 hours long, Dungeon Keeper is rebooted as a free-to-play game, and Call of Duty switches to a 3-year development cycle. Earlier in the week, reports have emerged that Ubisoft had officially abandoned the trademark for Watch Dogs. However, Ubisoft claimed they did nothing of the sort. On the 1st of February, they received an email from the United States Patent and Trademark Office confirming their request for express abandonment, signed by Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft Entertainment. This sparked off some discussions on the internet, asking whether Watch Dogs would ever see the light of day. However, both Mr. Guillemot and Ubisoft deny requesting this abandonment. In a response to this, Ubisoft asked that this request for abandonment was chucked out, and at the time of recording, it seems that the trademark application has been reinstated once again, and it's now back to pending status. I find the whole thing very interesting. Could Ubisoft actually have filed for this abandonment in an attempt to gain some free publicity? It's anyone's guess really. At present, the game is rumoured for a late April release, with some online retailers already posting a release date as the 30th of April. Game Informer claims that the next instalment of the Metal Gear Solid franchise only has a 2-hour-long campaign mode. Hideo Kojima responded to this report on Twitter, explaining that the non-linear design of this game meant that it contained a lot more depth than the games before it. If you play it like one of the previous Metal Gear Solids, you'll miss out on what makes the game special. He also posted the following statement: Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes includes the main mission alongside 5 side ops. All missions include elements such as trial records, where players can compete against each other online. This is not a linear game like the past. Ground Zeroes offers the freedom of approach and playstyle, which we hope players will enjoy over and over without boring them. Ground Zeroes will retail at £20 to £30 depending on the generation of console, and is set to come out in March. The release date for the rest of the game, The Phantom Pain, hasn't been confirmed yet. The Dungeon Keeper reboot, and I use that word in the loosest way possible, has caused a lot of controversy this week. The latest Dungeon Keeper game is now available on mobile devices. Now I have to say the game itself wouldn't be too bad if it wasn't for the free-to-play model used. The visuals are far too cute for my taste, and because of these reasons, the footage that you're seeing in the background is actually from Dungeon Keeper 2. EA responded to the controversy saying they didn't want to use a pay-to-download model as it would turn some people off. So instead, a free-to-play model was chosen. Now this is where the issues start. In the original 2, you always had things to do. You could be building more rooms, devising passageways full of traps, making sure your imps were digging up enough gold to pay your minions, and the list really goes on forever. In the new mobile version, you can do all of these things. It seems very loyal to the game in that respect. However, doing virtually anything takes a long time, or as an alternative, you can spend gems to speed it up. This isn't too much of an issue in the early game, as it costs 1 gem here and there, but as you go on you need to spend more and more gems to keep momentum going. This is where the game is being criticised, as the business model being used is very aggressive. For the princely sum of £69.99 you can get 14,000 tokens, which they state is their best value pack. Although I'm not sure who it's best for. It will cost you £2.99 for 500 gems. Now for someone that used to marathon sessions of Dungeon Keeper, this slow pace is excruciatingly boring. Jim Sterling from The Escapist said that the need for hundreds of gems undermined the claim that it was free to play. It's free to wait, but not to play anything. I'd have to agree with him on this. Excavating 1 square can take anything from a minute to a day, or 249 gems if you're going to go that route. Peter Molyneux, the designer of the original Dungeon Keeper, spoke to the BBC and said, "I felt myself turning around saying, 'What? This is ridiculous. I just want to make a dungeon. I don't want to schedule out my alarm clock for 6 days to come back for a block to be chipped.' I don't think they got it quite right. The balance between keeping it familiar to the fans that are out there, but fresh enough and understandable enough for this much bigger mobile audience." In a recent interview, EA mentioned that the game had a number of 5-star reviews on the App Store and Google Play. Pocket Gamer noted that after a certain period of play on Android devices, players would be presented with a pop-up asking them to rate the game, giving 2 options, 1 to 4 stars or 5 stars. Clicking on 5 takes you to the Google Play Store to rate the game. However, clicking the 1 to 4 stars takes you to a feedback prompt, giving people the option to email EA to tell them how they can make it a 5-star game. What are your views on free-to-play games? Let us know in the comments section below. Call of Duty has entered a 3-year development cycle. Joining Infinity Ward and Treyarch is Sledgehammer Games. To date, Sledgehammer was responsible for co-developing Modern Warfare 3 with Infinity Ward. Previously, Sledgehammer had announced that they were not co-developing Call of Duty Ghosts, but instead were keeping their heads down for their next project, which I'm now assuming was this new COD game. Activision have said that this new cycle comes into an effort to improve the quality of each game. A longer development cycle will allow more time to envision and innovate each title. The Activision CEO Eric Rischberg went on to say that this will simultaneously give content creators time to put more focus on DLC and micro DLC. Now this could really be a double-edged sword. In my opinion, there's far too much DLC these days. In a single player game it's not too bad, but DLC map packs just splinter the market far too much. There could also be the danger of Sledgehammer making a very similar type of Call of Duty to Infinity Ward, as the two teams have worked together before. I hope it doesn't turn into 2 years of iterations before Treyarch's slightly more interesting approach to the franchise. However, I'm not one to prejudge. This could actually be what the franchise needs, a fresh perspective on the modern military fighter. What are your opinions? Let us know below. That's all for Vectra News this week. Don't forget to like, favourite, subscribe and follow us on Twitter to keep up to date with everything on the network. And, as always, we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.